That's right. It is reality. Today, silver's price got absolutely crushed. I'm going to explain what happened and why this occurred and why we should not lose hope for what's going on with the markets today, because it might be actually good news in the long term. Let's discuss it all here as we explore. Now, many of you that watch this channel know that I like to report on the latest news in the world of precious metals, and some of the times that news can be daily, which means that in a sense, I do, in a sense, cover the noise of the markets because I'm tracking what's going on with the markets day to day. It's always interesting and fascinating to see what moves gold and silver. And right now, all of the metals are getting hit very, very hard. And stay tuned because I'm going to explain what happened today. And I'm also going to defend the title of this video for those of you who think that it is clickbait. So gold got hit, but not nearly as bad as the other metals today. It is essentially more of a stable store of value and is proving itself to be that today. But it's still down almost a half a percentage point, down $16.40 to $3,316.70. Platinum, palladium, and rhodium also got hit today. In fact, platinum is down 1.5%, down $20 today, still above $1,300 an ounce though. But silver got hit the hardest today. Right now, it is down 1.84%. Down 70 cents at $37.37, well below where I'd like it to be. That's $38 is where I'd like to see it, but still, silver's doing okay when it's all said and done, but nonetheless, it was down as low as $37.19. So that was more than a 2% drop earlier in the day. And that is my definition for what a plunge is. And a plunge is essentially a description of what's happening in any given day. And so, yes, a plunge or a huge drop, 2% or more move in one direction or another is a big deal, folks, even if it happens multiple days in a row or if it just alternates days. That's noteworthy, and it is newsworthy, I think, in a sense, is what's going on here in the markets. And again, I'm going to get into that. And some of you may be watching this video after the markets have closed. And right now they're still open, but only for a few more minutes as I record this video. And so that is something you have to take into account too. So in other words, you may come back and watch this video and see that it is up 3 cents or up 20 cents. And you say, how is that a plunge? Well, it's because you're watching it after the markets have closed and you're seeing a recovery in the markets. Or it may drop a little bit more. It may drop a few more cents, and it may be only down a tenth of a percentage point by the time you see this video in the Asian markets. So keep that in mind. Timing is everything with the markets, and I'm reporting to you before the markets close in the U.S. The aftermarket is a whole nother matter, and everything resets at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. So when you understand that, that helps you give a better understanding of where I'm coming from in the day's activities. I always report what happens near the end of the day for that current day. And today's move was a big move for silver to the downside, which means there's an opportunity, if your budget allows, to shop around for the best deals out there. Summit Metals is the channel sponsor. They have a great selection, an increasingly wider selection, great customer service, and fast shipping. A good combination for sure. And you know what? They still do have some competitive pricing on some of their products. Some of their items, they're not as competitive, but there's others that are. So shop around and see what's right for you. But keep in mind the service that they provide. Hearing a lot of good things about their customer service from folks. And whenever there is a problem, they always like to work it out as best they can. So, very good. And what's going on in the markets? Well, Kitco is talking about what's happening here and what's behind it. And I'm going to insert some other thoughts here as well, too. But it's all really essentially positioning to see what's going to be happening with the annual Economic Policy Symposium, which is held by the Federal Reserve. The Kansas City Federal Reserve Symposium will be occurring Thursday at Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell on Friday is expected to unveil the Fed's new policy framework at this event. Powell's speech could give the marketplace a new update as to how much support there is to lower interest rates in September. And right now, the markets are kind of saying, well, some of these economic data may lead credence to the idea they may pause again. I don't know. We'll see. But one way to gauge that is to look at the Fed Watch tool that the CME group has, and that information changes, and it can change dramatically even daily. And right now, we're seeing it move in another direction. Still overwhelming support for a Fed cut of a quarter basis point. That's 84.8 as I record this video right now. That is less than what it was. It was in the high 90s just a few days ago. But now 15.2% of participants believe now that the Fed may leave rates unchanged. And I talked about that in a recent video too. So, and that could lead to prices falling even more dramatically. So that is something to consider. We'll get more word on what that's going to happen, what that's going to be when Powell gives his speech. And part of me would not be surprised in some way if he puts it off, or maybe does it this time, but no more cuts before the end of the year. I still think we're going to see at least one, maybe two cuts before the end of the year, but they're saying four. JP Morgan is, but so that's what's happening here, and they're forecasting that maybe some of his comments, even if they do these cuts, as what JP Morgan suggests, they may sidestep it essentially with some other commentary that leaves credence to. They don't want to really do it, and how much of effect it's going to be, but we'll see what they play out. By the way, stay tuned. I'm going to show you what I got at my local coin shop, a piece of silver, and some other very fascinating things. So stay tuned for later in the video for that, and I'm going to remind you about the video I posted this morning. I showcased something in that video which I didn't realize until after somebody pointed it out to me in an email about a unique piece of silver I showed in that video that I was shocked and surprised at what it was. See if you can find it. I'm going to link to it at the end screen of this video. But there's another thing that's happening in the markets here, and that is what's going on geopolitically. There has been talk that there is more hope for some sort of an agreement. It's not a ceasefire, but a possible end to the war in Ukraine. Now, the meetings that have been held, there is some very, 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 and I must emphasize again, very cautious optimism that they may be able to work this out. It's a complex situation, and there's going to have to be concessions on both sides. More than likely, Ukraine will have to concede more, I think, than what Russia will, because Russia has the upper hand in holding territory. But nonetheless, I think that if we can see a situation where peace arises out of this, a long-lasting peace, then I think it could be very good. And with all the European leaders coming to the White House, and that meeting seemingly fairly successful in terms of an understanding between them in the United States, and also with Putin making an announcement on his home turf that there looks like things are looking good for continued dialogue. And trilateral talks is the next big thing that's being discussed that could happen in due course. I'm not sure if it will, and then maybe bilateral talks before that, but that really doesn't make sense if there's bilateral talks beforehand. I think there's going to have to be a mediator between the two leaders between now and then, but we'll see. It'll be interesting and fascinating to see how that plays out, because if we can get that conflict resolved, then essentially we've got relative peace around the world, which is something we've not seen for quite a while, indeed. And so that will be something that will be very good and calming for the markets, because, as Putin has mentioned, there are some U.S. companies that have some interest in Russia. And I think there's an economic component to this, that it could be good for Russia as well as Ukraine. And if everybody benefits, that's great. And again, I'm saying this with the full understanding of what Putin has done in the invasion. I'm not defending that at all, but I think if we can stop what's happening now with the killing of by the estimates of about 5,000 a week on both sides, I think that's a good thing. And because this thing could go for another 5-10 years, even from now, with this kind of stalemate, and nobody really wants that. And of course, the siloing of organizations and people, and the weaponization of the dollar, not a good thing. So gold and silver, I think, in part, are going down because of that hope. But that's hope. It's not reality. We're not there yet in terms of the reality of the situation. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep an eye on economic data and other things. For most of these is that the dollar indeed is still continuing to lose value, and silver is continuing to maintain itself as a store of wealth through the long course of time, even through the volatility of the markets today. One other thing I want to check too is the dollar strength. The dollar strength is actually up, and that's to be noted. Usually that's what happens, and in these situations, and of course, if that happens, it's at 98.28, and with silver getting hit the hardest here, that has widened the gold to silver ratio to right around 89. It's at 88.96. All right, let me show you what I got at the local coin shop today. Yes, indeed, kind of a cool piece here. Look at this, nice, wild-looking coin here, and that is Britannia. Rules the waves here. And this is a 1 ounce silver piece I got for $1 above spot. Not bad. Last year of the Queen's reign here on Earth. And this is from St. Helena. And Queen Elizabeth II, the young queen here. 1 ounce of 3/9 fine silver from 2022. And I love this, the fact that this piece here, not only does it add to the stack, but there's a beauty to this coin because it has some of the elements that translate on both sides. And I love it when coin design, it's good coin design when both sides complement each other. And that is exactly what's going on here. So there it is. So that's 1 ounce of silver added to the stack, a beautiful piece. Sometimes I do buy these pieces because they're pretty. And if I can get them for a regular bullion price, why not, to show on the channel. The other thing I got is 3 ancients. That's right. My local coin shop, they're very kind to me at times. I mean, there's times where I pay full price. I really did not ask for a deal on this, but 3 for $10. You can't beat that for coins that are literally over 1,000, over 2,000 years, well, almost 2,000 years old. These are probably likely in the early 80s, hundreds ADs, and what have you. But bronze ancient coins from Rome, the Roman Empire, indeed, there they are. So, yep, love this type of thing, and if I can find them on the cheap, well, I'm going to continue to have these just for fun, just for the fun of it. History in your hands. Ancient history. That's right. Well, let me know what your thoughts are about silver today. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude, that means a lot for those of you in Rio Linda, of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate this video. That means press the thumbs up button, share it on other social media platforms, and subscribe, and press the notifications bell as well down below.